Good day to everyone who is watching this YouTube video. This is another episode of the Ask Gunasheela series, which is a patient educational program. Today, our topic is human milk banking, and I am Dr. Devika Gunasheela, and with me is Dr. Anuradha HS, who is one of our very senior pediatric consultant and has been associated with Gunasheela Hospital for many years now. So, Dr. Anuradha, can you start off by telling us what exactly is this human milk banking and how important is it?
Thank you, Dr. Devika. I think before we go on to human milk banking, it's very important for us to understand that we really need to protect breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And breastfeeding is not the responsibility of only the mother. It's a shared responsibility. And that is where human milk banking comes into place.
Yeah. So now talking about breast milk, everybody knows that it is breast milk is the elixir of life. It is also, in other words, it is also they've termed it as liquid gold. And why exactly do they why do they give so much of importance to this?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question to answer because breast milk is the most important and complete food for a newborn baby, whether it's preterm or term. And the reason why I say that is that, in the last so many decades, a lot of attempts have been made to get a formula which is close to breast milk. Well, it is close to breast milk, but it is not as good as breast milk. And the reason for that is that breast milk has everything that a baby requires to grow. It's a complete food for physical, mental, psychological, all the growth that you need in a newborn baby. Everything is there in breast milk.
Also, a lot of immunological factors, isn't it correct, to prevent infection, and that's how babies are protected from infection.
Absolutely, especially the first 3 to 4 days of secretion for a mother, which is known as colostrum, which, like you said, is also known as liquid gold, is very rich in substances which protect the baby from all kinds of infections. So you never see a newborn baby suffering from cold, cough, or diarrhea, mainly because it's breastfed. So there's a huge component of immunity when it comes to breastfeeding.
Yeah. So do continue and tell us about why is it, now we've talked about why it is good for the baby. You've said it prevents diarrhea, infections, pneumonia. What about the mom?
Yeah. So I think mothers have to make so much effort to breastfeed for a long time because we recommend exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life and to continue breastfeeding with complementary feeding after the period of 6 months. But here is the good news. It's really good for the mom as well, not just for the baby. So for a mother who is breastfeeding, she has a lot of immediate as well as long-term benefits. Now, the immediate benefits are in the form of one, getting back into shape. They lose the excess weight that they have gained during pregnancy. They also have bonding with the baby when they are with the baby breastfeeding for the first 6 months exclusively. Also, when you look at long-term health, mothers who breastfeed have lesser risk of developing lifestyle diseases like cancer of breast, ovarian cancer, softening of bones, which is known as osteoporosis, and even other diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure.
Yes, correct, very correct. Yeah, you also say that it's interesting that you've written that it lowers the risk of obesity for the children.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the babies who are breastfed never become obese, and there are many studies which have proved that.
Okay.
And also the risk of allergies is very less. We hardly hear of a baby getting allergy from breast milk. So especially in families which have a high history of eczema, asthma, etc., we should make all the more effort to encourage mothers to breastfeed.
Yeah, correct. So we just want to go through the benefits again. So like you said, it helps bonding, and it's a complete and optimal food. And I don't think, it is difficult to breastfeed. It's not that it is the easiest thing under the sun, because it takes time for the mother also to understand how to hold the baby. Absolutely. And how not to get a backache. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, it is a shared responsibility. So we need to do a lot to make sure that our mothers are able to feed their babies
Yeah.
for as long as 6 months.
Yeah.
And one important point that I forgot to mention earlier is about brain development.
Yeah.
Now, there are many studies where we have followed up babies when they grew up to be adults, and we found that babies who had been exclusively breastfed in the first 6 months of life had higher IQ.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
that's the reason why today we are talking a lot about all the brain nutrients and DHA, etc. for babies, which is there in breast milk.
I see. Do you want to tell us about for definitely you've written that for preterm and low birth weight babies, it's life saving. And I would like you to talk about a little bit more about this point of preterm and low birth weight babies.
Yeah. So I think I've been associated with Gunasheela for a long time. And one of the challenges that we have faced in the last couple of decades is that we have had a lot of preterm and low birth weight babies.
Yeah.
And the challenge here was feeding.
Yeah.
Because mothers of preterm babies have lesser chance of lactating as well as the mothers of full-term babies. And that's the reason many times we ended up giving formula milk to preterm and low birth weight babies. And this has some risk for these babies. So let's.
What exactly? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, do tell us about now. You said that India has the highest number of low birth weight and preterm babies. Preterm babies, I mean, they're all very well formed and everything else, but they're still, the organs are still very immature, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why these babies have all the more requirement for breast milk.
Yeah.
And in India, we have a huge number of low birth weight and preterm babies. And these babies very often die because they have high infection rates and they don't get breast milk.
Yeah. Is there anything to, can you tell us a little bit more about this condition called necrotizing enterocolitis?
Yeah. So like you mentioned earlier, preterm babies, all the organs have not yet formed because they have come out early. And one of the problems with the gut or the gastrointestinal system is even that is immature. And these babies, when they receive something other than breast milk, they have a higher risk of a serious infection called necrotizing enterocolitis. And this leads to spread of infection in the body, and often these babies die.
And that is a cause of death in these babies, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. So now tell us a little bit more as to who can donate breast milk.
Yeah. So for our preterm babies, I think we are really in need of pasteurized human milk. And many healthy women who fulfill the criteria which are mentioned here are capable of donating milk for these babies. What we need is that they should be in good health, they should have good health related behavior, and they should not be regularly on medication or herbal supplements. And also, before they actually donate milk, they should be willing to undergo blood testing so that we can screen them for the infections that can be passed on to the other babies. And also, one important thing is that they have to have enough milk after feeding their own baby before they donate.
Yes, correct.
And usually we focus on mothers who are in the first 6 months after birth. So what that means is that mothers from the time of birth till the time her own baby is 6 months old is the ideal time for donating milk.
Correct. But the thing is that, I mean, say suppose somebody's on thyroid, and we have a lot of hypothyroid women and mothers, and they are regularly on thyroid, they definitely can donate, isn't
yes,
it?
they can.
Yeah.
You know, there are certain specific conditions and certain medications where we don't recommend mothers donating.
So if they do want to donate, they have to kind of contact us and tell us what medication they are on.
Yes.
And then we will tell them whether they can or cannot donate. So who, in a general aspect, cannot donate milk then?
So generally, you know, a mother who has been earlier on drugs or is actually taking alcohol or is positive for certain infections which could be harmful for the baby, like HIV, syphilis, hepatitis B and C. And also if the breast is infected, if the mother is on radioactive drugs, or if the mother has been a recipient of organ transplant.
Yeah, then she's going to be on a lot of immunosuppressants and a lot of
Yes.
drugs that might be toxic to the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this makes them unsuitable for donating breast milk.
Yeah, and one more thing is that there are several steps that go around, before you can actually give that milk or release it to the baby. And definitely one of the things is that it has to be pasteurized.
Yes.
And so it's not like as if somebody donates the milk and then we just give it to the baby.
Absolutely.
So would you like to tell us about the steps?
Yes. So before we actually give donated milk to the baby, we have to go through a series of steps. And the point here is that we need to make it absolutely safe for these low birth weight and preterm babies. And that's the reason the first step is that we do a selection of the donor. We see if they are suitable. We screen them for all the infections. And then we guide them on how they can express milk in a sanitary or hygienic way. And subsequent to that, we have to handle the milk at a specific temperature. So it has to be stored at a specific temperature at the mother's house till it reaches the human milk bank, where again, we have to store it in the right way. And then what we do is we pool the milk that we have got, and it undergoes a process called pasteurization, which is nothing but ensuring that milk is sterile. And we also do regular cultures or bacteriological testing to ensure that there are no infections which could be passed on to the low birth weight babies.
So every batch that is pasteurized, we take a sample and then
every batch after pooling, after pasteurization, we have to check for infection. So 2 important points here are to maintain the temperature throughout, from the time of expression till the time we actually give it to the baby. And then following this, what we do is we ask for the requirement in the neonatal intensive care unit, how much milk they need, and that is actually given to the baby. Because once the milk is taken out and thawed, it can't be used again.
Correct, exactly. So it is a noble cause, definitely, and it should not be at the cost of their own infants. Mothers should actually, if they want to donate, they want to donate it only after their baby has been fed and is satisfied, and only if they have excess milk. So there is no compulsion here. It is only on a purely voluntary basis, and the demand is definitely more than the supply. There tremendous demand, and there are very few milk banks around. So I do think that anybody who donates milk is going to be doing a great service to these preterm babies, and they're going to be saving the lives of our preterm babies. So it's mainly for preterm babies, but it is also for babies who cannot be term babies. That means the full-grown babies who are born at the correct time, who cannot be fed for various reasons.
Right. Very true, because I think the concept of donation is not new to us. We have been donating blood for, I think, many centuries now. And now we are in need of another very, very important donation from all the mothers, and that is of breast milk. And currently, yes, the demand is more than supply. But if more and more mothers get motivated to come forward and donate milk, then we will be able to extend this to even mothers who have term babies and are unable to feed, or where the mother loses her life for some reason. So every baby should get the benefit of breast milk.
But then this is also prioritized, isn't it, in a certain way? So the first priority, highest priority would be the milk goes to the preterm babies, which are in the NICUs.
Absolutely.
Where it is really life-saving. And then if there is more and excess that is there, then they can be prioritized to the babies that are born at the right time, which we call as term babies.
So there's one more thing I'd like to mention here, that when we are talking about low birth weight babies or preterm babies in the neonatal intensive care unit, the donor milk is only used as a stopgap arrangement for a few days, till such time that the biological mother is able to lactate enough to feed her own baby. So we are not looking at feeding for a year, but for a short period of time.
Yeah, and one more thing is that I mean, it takes time to kind of establish lactation. Actually speaking, for the breast milk to start off and the baby to latch onto the breast, and for women actually to be comfortable with breastfeeding their baby. So we don't expect women who are just 1 week or 2 weeks even, or maybe even 4 weeks to start giving us milk. It will only be after they become comfortable and they have understood their baby's needs, and only after they have enough milk, and that happens slowly over time, right? When they start to kind of keep on
Yes.
breastfeeding, then the breast produces more and more milk. And it's not like as if if you feed your breast your baby once, and then you donate the milk, the milk is not going to come back in, right?
Yeah.
That is a wrong concept,
It's
right?
a wrong concept, because the beauty of breastfeeding is that the more you express and give, the more you
More.
produce.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So even if after feeding your baby and you do donate the milk, you don't have to be worried that your baby, again, if it gets up and cries, it won't have enough milk. There is always enough milk for the baby in the breast, and more to donate as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So this is the Gunasheela Hospital, and we started the concept of human milk banking came about, I think, in my mind, sometime during the lockdown, and because we had a lot of mothers who had preterm deliveries with COVID, and then there were no definite guidelines as to whether we could actually give the babies to them, or that the baby should be isolated from the mother, or the mothers could breastfeed. And that was the time when I actually felt that if we had had a human milk bank, that would have really really served us well, and these babies could have had the benefit of it. And so I actually approached Dr. Anuradha and said that, can you help me to find somebody who can actually start the human milk bank in our hospital? And then she put me on to one Dr. Srinath Manikanti, who is a neonatologist and a pediatrician, and who has this interest in human milk banking. And he, along with Rotary, helped us to get this milk banking going on in our hospital. So it's a public milk bank, and it's a joint initiative by Rotary and Gunasheela, and it is dedicated. It's called as Adya Human Milk Bank. It's dedicated. It's in the memory of Sri Umesh Kukilaya, who was one of the very good friends of a Rotarian called Milind and Meera Deshpande, and they have donated very generously the equipment and the whole setup that is required for the human milk banking. And Gunasheela has actually given them the space, as well as we maintain the running of the milk bank, as well as the maintenance and the staff, etc., that is required to run this milk bank. And Dr. Srinath Manikanti is the project director. And so it is a combined venture with Rotary and with Gunasheela. And just taking you through the milk bank, this is the area where we pasteurize the milk, and then the blue cupboard that you see over there is the laminar airflow bench where the milk is handled, so it is free from bacteria. And also these are the various freezers and the fridges where the milk is kept. And this is how we load the pasteurization chamber with the milk bottles. And this is where we are freezing them before they actually are pasteurized. And so there are various processes that Dr. Anuradha has explained. And this is a call. We are also having a walkathon on Sunday, starting from Gunasheela Hospital. It goes around Baswangudi, and we come back to Gunasheela. And if you do want to join us on this Sunday, please do so. And if you do have any queries, please feel free to contact us, or to write to us at ask@gunasheela.com. And we do call upon new mothers who have got excess breast milk. Instead of throwing it away when the breasts are engorged, please think of us and do donate the milk, as it is going to be a life savior for some preterm infant somewhere in the state. And the second thing is that we are a public milk bank. We are not a commercial milk bank. We have undertaken to supply the milk free of cost to preterm babies in the government hospitals and who are in need of it. And for other babies who are in where the NICUs ask us in the private hospitals, we are giving it at an extremely nominal cost of 6 rupees per ml. And that is just to cover the costs of our transportation, our generators, maintenance of the equipment, the staff salaries, etc. So we're just about what shall we say, breaking it even, I think. So this is a public initiative, and I'd be very grateful if donors could come forward. And you can also in our website we will have the number that you can contact for the milk bank, or you can ring up Gunasheela Hospital at any time and ask to be connected to the milk bank, and they will give you the connection. So thank you very much for listening to us, and thank you, Dr. Anuradha, for being here and providing such a good insight on the whole procedure of human milk banking. And thank you once again. We will see you again with our next episode of Ask Gunasheela. Thank you.
Thank you.